Senator Clinton, this week, as you know, Senator Obama was endorsed by Senator Ted Kennedy and Caroline Kennedy. And they both argued that the country's ready for a new generation of leaders, and they said Barack Obama, like John F. Kennedy in 1960, is that kind of leader. How do you respond to that?
Well, I have the greatest respect for Senator Kennedy and the Kennedy family, and I'm proud to have three of Senator Robert Kennedy's children, Bobby and Kathleen and Carrie, supporting me. But what I think is exciting is that the way we are looking at the Democratic field, now down to the two of us, is we're going to get big change. We're going to have change. I think having the first woman president would be a huge change for America and the world. But of course, despite the enthusiasm of our supporters or our endorsers, and we're both proud of everyone who has come to be part of our campaign, this is about the two of us. You have to, as voters, determine who you think can be the best president to tackle all those problems on day one, waiting in the Oval Office, who can be the best nominee for the Democratic Party to be able to withstand whatever they decide to do on the other side of the aisle and come out victorious. But ultimately, this is really about the American people. It's about your lives. It's about your jobs, your health care, whether you can afford to send your children to college, whether you'll be able to withstand the pressure of the rising interest rates on a home foreclosure that might come your way, and whether we're going to once again be proud of our country and our leadership and our moral authority in the world. And so I think that as we look at these upcoming contests, 22 of them now on Tuesday, really every voter should be looking and examining what they want out of the next president. What are the criteria that you have for determining who you will vote for, what you think our country needs, what you and your family are really looking for? And then you evaluate the two of us, because no one else will be on the ballot. This is a very exciting and humbling experience, I think I can say, for both of us.
All right. Senator?
Neither of us would have ever predicted, you know, not very long ago, we would be sitting here. And it is a great tribute to the Democratic Party and to America, but now we have to decide who would be the best president.
Senator Obama, I want you to respond, but also in the context of this. A lot of Democrats remember the 8 years of the Clinton administration, a period of relative peace and prosperity, and they remember it fondly. Are they right? Should they be remembering those 8 years with pleasure?
Well, I think there's no doubt that there were good things that happened during those 8 years of the Clinton administration. I think that's undeniable. Look, we're all Democrats, and particularly when looked through through the lens of the last 8 years with George Bush, they look even better. So I don't want to diminish some of the accomplishments that occurred during those 8 years. And I absolutely agree with Senator Clinton that ultimately each of us have to be judged on our own merits. All of us have endorsers, and ultimately you've got to take a look and see who do you want in that White House. I do think that there was something that happened, and we've been seeing it all across the country. We saw it at the event with Senator Kennedy. We are bringing in a whole generation of new voters, which I think is exciting. And part of the task, I believe, of leadership is the hard nuts and bolts of getting legislation passed and managing the bureaucracy. But part of it is also being able to call on the American people to reach higher, to say we shouldn't settle for an economy that does very well for some, but leaves millions of people behind. We should not accept a school in South Carolina that was built in the 1800s where kids are having to learn in trailers, and every time the railroad goes by the tracks, the building shakes and the teacher has to stop teaching. We should not accept a foreign policy that has seen our respect diminish around the world and has not made us more safe. So the question is, part of the question is who can work the levers of power more effectively. Part of the question is also who can inspire the American people to get re-engaged in their government again, push back the special interests, reduce the influence of lobbyists, and that is something that I have worked on all my life, and we are seeing in this campaign. And one of the things I'm thrilled with is, and this is good news for Democrats,
right,
every single election that we've had so far in this contest, you've seen the number of people participating in the Democratic primary double. Now, that's not all due to me. Senator Clinton is attracting enthusiasm and support as well. But I can say, for example, in Iowa, about 60% of those new voters voted for me. And that, I think, changes the electoral map in such a way where we're going to have more people ready to move forward on the agendas that we all agree with. That's part of the leadership I want to provide as president.
We have a follow-up question from Jeanne. Go ahead, Jeanne.
Well, Senator Obama mentioned the generational issue, and when we look at returns and exit polls, there is something going on there. And we've got a question along those lines from Karen Roper from Pickens, South Carolina. She asks, to you, Senator Clinton, that you have claimed that your presidency would bring change to America. I'm 38 years old, and I have never had an opportunity to vote in a presidential election in which a Bush or a Clinton wasn't on the ticket. How can you be an agent of change when we have had the same two families in the White House for the last 30 years?
Well, as I have often said, I regret deeply that there is a Bush in the White House at this time. But I think that what's great about our political system is that we are all judged on our own merits. You know, we come forward to the American public, and it's the most grueling political process one can imagine. We start from the same place. Nobody has an advantage, no matter who you are or where you came from. You have to raise the money. You have to make the case for yourself. And I want to be judged on my own merits. I don't want to be advantaged or disadvantaged. I'm very proud of my husband's administration. I think that there were a lot of good things that happened, and those good things really changed people's lives. The trajectory of change during those 8 years went from deficits and debt to a balanced budget and a surplus. All those 22 million new jobs and the hopefulness that people brought with them. And, you know, it did take a Clinton to clean after the first Bush, and I think it might take another one to clean up after the second Bush.